Cool, I don't know where you are, but Christ, it's freezing. I'm in England. Where are you? Minus temperatures. It's not good. Right. Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's talk about Joseph Parker, because this guy deserves kudos. He deserves a lot of respect, because if you go back a couple of years, he was really thought of as being kind of past his best, and he lacked ambition, and there was no spite to the guy, and he had a reputation for being, Tyson Fury's little mini me. And really, he lost a lot of respect from when he was WBO champ. And he teamed up with Andy Lee as trainer, and there'd been the two fights with Del Boy, Derek Chisora. And the first one, and some people thought he lost that fight. It was very close. The second one he dominated. But even then, he couldn't knock Chisora out, and people were saying, well, it's typical Parker. He just, he's always flattered to deceive. He's always promised more than he seems capable of giving. Well, it sort of it got even worse, because he fought Joe Joyce, as I'm sure you remember. That this was after the two Chisora fights. And he fought him in September of 2022, and this was kind of considered to be a last stand for Joseph. Against Joyce at the time was 14 wins with 13 KOs, no draws, no defeats. From the early rounds, it looked like Joe Joyce was going to steamroller Joseph Parker. In fact, Parker actually showed a lot of guts and grit and fortitude, but did get knocked out in the 11th round. It was a bad knockout. I mean, he was cut over the right eye. He took that enormous left hook to the chin, went down like a sack of spuds. And to be honest with you, it looked like Joe was at the end. He maybe become a gatekeeper or something like that. But how many times have we said that staying busy is the thing? All right, you can actually acquire some sort of status, move up the rankings, keep yourself in the public eye by just being busy. You don't have to fight killers. I always think, I'm not comparing this guy to Joseph Parker, don't get me wrong, but just to illustrate that particular point, when George Foreman made his comeback after 10 years out, he was fighting absolute nobodies. I mean, not even journeymen, just big puddings. And he was knocking them out in 1 or 2 rounds. And Joe, of course, was slower than George was slower than a mudslide. But he was acquiring the wins, and people were talking about him. And gradually up the chain he moved until he got, title fights. One against Holyfield, and we all know how it ended with him knocking out Michael Moorer and winning the heavyweight title, the oldest man to do so. But had he not kept on ticking over with these meaningless fights, they even brought him to England. Frank Warren brought him he was on a Frank Warren show it was at Wembley, I want to say Wembley Arena, I might have that wrong. I think it was at Wembley Arena. So he did a little bit of globe trotting, and he revitalised his name just through fighting nobodies. I mean, the win against Jerry Cooney was again, Cooney had been very, very, inactive, but it was a spectacular knockout. So again, and Cooney was a bit of a name, so it gained George that little bit of extra standing. Well, getting back to Joseph Parker, which is who this video is about, he, after the Joe Joyce loss and after being written off, decided, I'm going to keep busy. And in fact, only 4 months after the Joyce loss, in January of 2023, he fought Jack Massey, and everyone was saying, well, that's a blown-up cruiserweight. And he didn't look good against Massey. I mean, he lost rounds. And again, you're thinking, oh, he's just treading water, isn't he? And then 4 months after that, he went back over to New Zealand and fought a guy called Apelu, who I knew nothing about. He got rid of him in a round. This guy had a 15-3-2 record, but no great shakes at all. But he got a knockout. Then in October, over he goes to Riyadh, fights Simon Keane, who 23 wins and 1 defeat, so a nice glossy record. Knocks him out in 3 rounds. So again, another knockout. Lower level guy, Keane, not much really, but this was for a couple of those WBO, IBF trinket things. And then, of course, because he's kept busy, because he's kept his name in the public eye, he suddenly gets the phone call. Come and fight Deontay Wilder, 23rd of December, day of reckoning. And you know what people were thinking? We need a sort of guy with quite a big name, a reasonable record for Wilder to look spectacular against, so that we can then promote the Anthony Joshua fight. And Parker wasn't having any of it. Now, Parker behind the scenes had been, working with Andy Lee, again, keep him busy. Doesn't matter that they're not great opponents. He's getting under the lights. He's staying dedicated to his craft. He gets in the ring with Wilder. Wilder doesn't show up to any shape or to any in any kind of mental shape anyway, and emotionally looked completely away with the fairies as well. And Parker wins just about every round, and it was a 12-rounder, easy, unanimous 12-round decision. So suddenly, in the space of 16 months, he's gone from being a has-been, having been knocked out by Joyce, to someone who's had four fights, 4 wins. And what's the reward for beating Wilder? Well, Wilder, it could have been you, because I think you were offered this fight. But you said no, so instead, Joseph Parker steps up to the plate to fight Zhilei Zhang on the 8th of March on the undercard of the Anthony Joshua Francis Ngannou fight. So, and this is for the WBO interim heavyweight title. Okay, it's an interim title. No great shakes, but it gives you that ranking. Now Zhilei Zhang, of course, 40 years old, coming off 2 victories over guess who? Joe Joyce. So Parker, again considered, one would think, easy fodder for Zhang. Parker got knocked out by Joyce. Zhang made mincemeat of Joyce twice, knocked him flat, completely cracked that concrete chin that everyone had been raving about, myself included. And so they're thinking, okay, Zhang probably thinks, I can beat this guy, I'll knock him out, it'll be good. I just wonder if Parker can win this one. Well, can he win it? Yes. I should say, I'm wondering, will he win it? Because it seems to me that with the way he's rebuilt so excellently after that bad knockout defeat, Parker's confidence must be sky high. And also, with all these camps he's been having with Andy Lee, he must have built up a rapport with Lee. It takes, I'd say 2 years at least to sort of gel properly with the trainer, so that everything, mentally, emotionally, the synergy is there. And of course, working on technical stuff as well. Parker himself now is 32. Zhang is 40. Zhang, on the other hand, may have to take these fights. Maybe this is the best that was on the table. He wanted Wilder. Wilder didn't want to know. I think Wilder should retire. And he doesn't look like he's into it at all, this boxing game anymore. And fair play, I don't begrudge him retirement. I'm not slagging the guy off. But that one trick that worked so well against so many, that big right hand, it was completely absent against Parker. And he didn't even look like he wanted to throw it. So Zhang against Parker, I think this is a good fight for both. I think if Zhang was to lose at 40, was to lose that WBO title, it wouldn't look good, would it? Come back, the clock's ticking. Even Zhang gets old at some point. They all do eventually. I would say that Zhang has to start as a favourite, perhaps to win by knockout. I would say he's got very, very good skills as well, Zhang. People are now talking about him being a big banger, and he is called the Big Bang. And yes, he hits very, very hard. He's a huge unit, but don't underrate his skills at all. I mean, look at the fight with Hrgovic, and Hrgovic has got some skills, but a lot of people thought Zhang won that fight. If memory serves, I think I had him a point or two ahead, 2 points ahead. I don't know. I can't remember offhand. I know it was a close one, though. So I don't think it's going to be a case of... this is a greater challenge for Parker than the Wilder fight was, with the benefit of hindsight, of course, because there was always a chance that Parker would outbox Wilder. Wilder is outboxable. Luis Ortiz did it. Even Gerald Washington was giving him problems early on. Spilker gave him problems. I mean, Wilder is not renowned as a boxer, and Parker has decent skills. with Zang, it's a very, very different fight to the Wilder fight. But would I rule Parker out? No, not at all. And I think when you consider that Zang is on this sort of streak, and that Parker is fighting a guy who twice stopped the guy who knocked him out only 17 months ago, I think Parker deserves a ton of credit for taking this fight. You can say, well, he didn't have to take it, and yeah, the money's on the table because it's the Saudis again, and Zang and Parker are no doubt getting big, big money. Fine, yeah, I agree with all of that. But for Parker to take this on, I mean, even if he loses, he's only 32, he could come again. But I think he deserves a lot of credit. This is a guy who I'm getting the impression will fight anyone now, and has gone from being, and also ran a guy who was sort of in limbo or out in the no man's land of boxing. Having lost his title, he lost to he lost to Dillian White, he lost to obviously Joshua. Never quite regained his footing on the world stage. I think he's beginning to do that. And that Wilder win opened the doors for him. And if he was to beat Zang, I mean, God, he'd be right back in the mix. I make him an underdog. I think Zang, again, would probably start as quite a substantial favourite. But don't write off Parker. Parker seems to have discovered his mojo late in life, late in his career. And, an Indian summer of a career seems to be that's what he's going to have. And he's made a lot of money anyway. I mean, I imagine Parker could probably quit and retire. But he seems to want to fight, unlike, say, Wilder. He seems to enjoy fighting. And he seems to have rediscovered his desire to fight and desire to perform, to not just go through the motions. So, yeah, big up Joseph Parker, basically. That's what I say. What do you think about Parker? What do you think about him against Zhang? Do you think he's got a chance? Or do you think he's got a good chance? He's got a chance, but how much of a chance? Again, of course, this is on the undercard of Joshua versus Ngannou, so it's over in Riyadh, it's the Kingdom Arena, which is the same place that Parker fought Wilder. What do you think? Give me your opinions. Obviously, leave your comments below. I'll have a read of them and answer as many as I can. Thanks as always for your time. Please subscribe to the channel if you're a newbie. Thank you if you've already subscribed. Hit the like button. They count them, apparently. I'm told. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.